organism doesn't have rights, because if you have a right, then that's something that would destroy resolvability. If you think that this is the framework that's winning the round, you have to vote neg. And this is the only way to solve back for the extinction best. So don't let him say that presumption and all that stuff. Then go to the counterpoint. So he makes 4 perms. Okay, the first perm is I'll actually go to the counterpoint. First, extend the text that animals protected by harm from harm is a matter of animal welfare and animal rights. Then go to the competition. Extend the fact that the net benefits, the net fact that's committed for net benefits that I give animals rights, but I avoid the harms that come immediately from the recognition of animal rights, which means all of the perms don't matter, because as long as I'm showing there's a net disadvantage to actually doing the affirmative, there's still a reason to look to welfare as opposed to rights. The fact that he says that we give them a right to welfare doesn't solve as a perm. I gave this analysis in the last speech because the use of the word rights is part of the net disadvantage to looking at the affirmative. So the first part that says do both because there's a distinction, like, doesn't care about the treatment of humans. Hold on. Okay, yeah, so the A doesn't matter because it's bad for animals to have it rights on the first. The B doesn't matter because, yeah, they have to be considered our consequential calculations, but that means you wouldn't vote for them because you're not giving them rights. So that's also not a perm, the counterplan. The 2 says do both. You give animals right to welfare. I already answered that by saying this: you can't give them a right, which is the form, which is the problem. The form is that we're giving them a form of a right for welfare, which means this perm doesn't solve like cross-by the analysis from the last speech. Then the 3 says that give them the moral right to well-being and legal right to welfare. That also doesn't apply. Remember, I'm giving you okay. So basically, cross-apply to the other perms. The fact that if we give them a right, that is a bad thing because the use of the word rights and the discourse of rights and the form of rights is the net disadvantage to using the app. So then go to the net benefits. Kick the Marcus one because he said a lot of things fast I didn't understand. Go to Bruce. Extend Bruce. Bruce says the rights discourse contributes to passive alienation and sense of inevitability. This is specifically bad in terms of the affirmative case because if we actually don't believe that this is the final goal of, if we don't believe that stopping extinction is the final goal of looking at things and actually giving them rights is, then we actually don't stop the extinction from happening, which means we do gigantic bad impacts. So the fact that we're getting a ruse of progress with the Bruce evidence shows the reasons why you have to look to this net benefit, this turn of the AC rather than the AC itself. The argument he says that it looks like there's no warrant because there's an empirical claim, needs an empirical warrant. There are empirical warrants that he says that that through rights language there's a power often granted strategic conceptions that the right to co-opt generally radical social movements. There's a clear empirical warrants. The 14th Amendment, for example, when we passed the 14th Amendment to stop slavery, we're supposed to treat blacks equally, but that didn't happen for another 100 years. So there are clear empirical warrants to back up the warrant that is not giving you a specific example in the card itself. So don't let them say that it's never happens. This is not true. There are clear examples, and it's worse for animals because they can't even advocate their problems, whereas at least minorities and other individuals who are humans are able to advocate their problems. So that just supercharges the link. So that means that animal welfare avoids these harms because it doesn't stop the language of rights under welfare, and the animal treatment debate is always ongoing because the rights are not the final goal. Again, it's the same argument, and then this turns back the ACB simply recognizing rights is not something about the form and the content of the rights and how they are enforced. Thus, the rights are counterproductive solvency mechanisms that close off the alternative avenues of solvency. So don't let him get out of it. That is by saying that he just fiats. The problem is that he is still fiating something that is right. So he still has to fiat that the resolution is true. So the fact that he's not fiating, so the fact that he's fiating rights just stops us from solving the problems of extinction and other problems in other ways. Then go to the cup card. Cup is also really damning. All he says is that there's no empirical warrant for empirical claim. This is not an empirical claim, it's a predictive claim. It says that if we were to give animals rights, that would cheapen the rights discourse. So obviously I can't give you an empirical warrant because it hasn't happened yet. We haven't given them the same rights. So don't nod at me. I'm right. The reason why this is so you can extend the cup evidence to say that the rights sorry, hold on. Yeah, that the connection between when we give animals rights, that literally cheapen the value of rights discourse, and because via the own AC impacts off of the Kahn evidence, this turns back the Kahn evidence because Kahn talks about how the fact that there's a dichotomy between rights and animals and humans, and that when we give them rights, that'll cheapen the discourse of rights, which is the only reason why we would stop genocide and stop extinction off of Kahn 3, which means I'm controlling the internal link to this impact, which means you're voting for me. So you're voting for me based on the fact that I'm winning my framework, and you're voting for me based on the AC framework because I'm the one that best stops extinction through welfare. And not 25 seconds though.
It's fast. Okay. It's gonna be the definition, Kahn 1 and the Kahn evidence, and then the counterpoint.
Okay.
Actually, sorry. Definition, con, NC counterclaim. I forgot that. Ready?
Yeah.
Too many arguments have conceded from the 1AC for Kyle to win this round. The first argument is that he has once again conceded that you accept apt definitions and interpretations. I define what animal rights are and then contextualize that by my framework, which means he has to defend a framework of inviolability where rights are inviolable in order for him to access this Trump argument, which means he does not access the resolvability argument. The resolvability argument relies on an internal link that we'd have certain trumps on how we act based off of rights. But my argument is no. The way he contextualizes rights is based off of maximization. That is his framework, so that is what the right is. Additionally, I contextualize what rights are, and that is the definition for round, which he has conceded, which is that it is the right to well-being, which can be maximized, which answers his Trump argument. There is no offense there. He is also not doing a good enough job answering how this answers back to competition, because we can still give right to welfare. As long as I'm winning a risk of defense on his net benefits of the Bruce evidence and the Cup evidence, you don't vote on the counterplan. I will explain why I outweigh in terms of the con evidence. So let's go there now. Extend con 1, 2, and 3, which indicate that animals' non-moral status because humanity's reign over all life forms, that this has led to some sort of domination which has characterized animals as subhuman tools to sustainable development. This type of sustainable development has led to extinction and existential policies where ecological crises that we saw or tried to solve for are perpetuated over and over. And he has conceded the argument that it is try or die for the affirmative. He has conceded too much in the evidence, which indicates that rights discourse is key. Even if it is true that his net benefit evidence says that there's been elusive progress in the past, it is not specific to the types of rights that we would give animals or the actual advocacy of the affirmative, which is the reason why there is always a solvency evidence and you have to vote for the side that gives us the best chance of prevention of solving extinction, which is only the affirmative advocacy. This analysis is clear in the 1AR, whereas he's not doing specific enough application of the con evidence, rather just explaining in a broad sense why his evidence would link to that. Sorry. So, that's extinction. Now, go to the Trump evidence. He doesn't get internal link to resolvability without winning the inviolability argument, so he doesn't do it. I've already done this analysis on the NC. NC goes away. Counterplan. First on the solvency evidence. He has conceded that fiat solves the link to all of his net benefits because the app gets the fiat that their advocacy is implemented, which means the roots of progress arguments and things like that are irrelevant because I fiat that it happens. If you want to vote on the counterplan, that means you're already respecting that nec fiat exists, but nec fiat is only justified as a reciprocal access because the app gets the fiat their advocacy, which means any sort of roots of progress or hindrance that would happen is irrelevant because I have fiat in my advocacy, which means that we can evaluate whether or not the consequences of those advocacies are legitimate. He's not making any sort of link turn arguments, but rather solvency deficit claims as to why he controls the internal link. No link turn. So, he doesn't get access to Bruce and Cub, but he's also conceded too much defensive arguments there for him to even get there. On Bruce, he has conceded the first argument that he's talking about legal rights, not moral rights. Call for the evidence after the round. My evidence is talking about how we need to give them moral status, equal moral status to stop the type of moral relegation that leads to this type of extinction, which is the reason he cannot solve when you vote act, because I'm the only one who has any sort of net benefit that would link to act util or rule util. Then, he has also conceded the argument that there is an empirical claim without empirical warrant, because there have been instances in the past that have stopped this, i.e. slavery and the disenfranchisement of women have all been stopped once we've actually given them rights. So if I'm defending legal rights for animals, that is sufficient, because when we give people legal rights, that is in the past, which means there is no roots of progress, because it has worked for us in the future. The fact that my evidence is also specific is game over. Then on Cup. He is not doing different of a job answering my predictive argument. I say, since there is no empirical basis for his argument, there is no reason why I can be predictive in the future. That's why I'm nodding my head during Kyle's speech. Since this had never happened before, we can't make a generic predictive claim about it, which is the reason why this is outweighed by the con evidence. If you vote under either framework, you vote for me. He doesn't get the Trump argument. Game over. Vote out.